Let's talk about something that's a hot topic these days: communication. One of the most important things in terms of understanding communication, and we'll kind of walk through the process, really what it is and that type of thing, but um, compatibility and being able to understand what constitutes a compatible relationship. And so this is going to be important because we're talking about basically the communication and the receiver, potentially the person communicating and the person that's receiving the communication. Okay, and we want to talk about that situation, that sort of dyadic relationship first, so that we can then sort of set the context for different forms of communication, those types of things. So, a compatible relationship in regards to communication, you're going to have good communication, and there's going to be a sense of rewarding behavior. What does that mean? There's going to be an acknowledgement, there's going to be clear understanding. It's going to be more or less a positive interaction. So, think about an employee and a supervisor, or think about a coach and an athlete. All right, think about a good communication process and how that works. An incompatible relationship, communication is going to be lacking, and there's a lack of rewarding behavior, which really makes sense because communication is lacking. People don't understand what's necessarily going on. There's a divorce or a divide between expectation, what someone wants, and their ability to communicate what they want to the other person. Okay, so what all that really is saying, and I understand maybe it's something that's a little either vague or kind of muddied, but communication is really a process. It's not, we don't necessarily want to think about it as just a pure outcome. It's not necessarily a commodity, but it's a process that's really going to be associated with leading people and productivity. While there's a lot of different ways that you can define or think about communication, it really simply describes this process of conveying information, thoughts, and or feelings, right, in distinct ways. That's all. It's about conveying and disseminating that information. Now, the ways that you're going to do that oftentimes through verbal and nonverbal forms of communication. Verbal communication is fairly straightforward. It's fairly intuitive. It's going to involve words, language, those types of things. Now, what we do know is that if you don't understand the language that someone's speaking, then that's going to obviously lead to an incompatible relationship and poor verbal communication. But it's not necessarily negative. It's something that the two individuals have to find another way to sort of circumvent that verbal communication. But what I want to talk about is the nonverbal communication. And this is something that's extremely powerful. And it's extremely powerful for a couple different reasons. One, it's very emotional, right? And it's easy to see. But also because it really comprises most of our day-to-day interactions. So social scientists have estimated between 70 and 75% of our daily engagements with other people are going to involve nonverbal communication. Some examples: this could be body language. That's extremely powerful. The facial expressions, but also other sort of symbolic gestures. Maybe this is the clothes that you're wearing in certain situations. Maybe this is how you're wearing the clothes. Organizational monuments or artifacts. All these different things. An organizational monument or artifact could even be things like logos or the physical structure of how an office is set up, those types of things, right? And even though no one's saying specifically, I'm bored with this conversation, Mark, if I look and see that they are not engaged, right? People tend to be engaged by using their eyes and kind of following a speaker, for example. If their eyes are closed, that's usually an example to me that, this person's not, there's a great chance this person's not engaged. We tend to communicate a lot with how we sit and our body language. And there are some people that have sort of non-traditional body language in the sense that maybe slouching for them is extremely comfortable and this is how they stay engaged. But for most people, not all, but for most people, when you kind of slouch in your chair, lean back, put your hand on your face, or pull a hood over your head or something like that, that generally communicates that you're disinterested in what's going on. So let's take that sort of communication as kind of a way of understanding engagement. And let's kind of focus down and look at the coach athlete communication. Here again, as I've said before, I've got a really large network and resources at my disposal for folks that have been coaches for decades or are currently coaches, and discussing with them and then consulting some of the other resources that I have. Here are just a list of things that in regards to communication that coaches and athletes can do to make sure that that process and that engagement is positive. Recognize that you can't speak to every athlete the exact same way or communicate with them in the same way. People respond to different things and different styles. Use the style of communication that is comfortable for not only you, but also the receiver. If you don't speak a certain way, if you don't use a certain language style, then don't try to pretend to be something that you're not. Be authentic in how you do that. That authenticity should also be connected with ideas of being honest, be genuine, be sincere. And if you're dropping sarcasm into a conversation all the time, that tends to make the receiver, the person that's receiving that communication, feel negative about the engagement. Okay? Be generous with praise and encouragement. This is kind of creating that positive environment. Now, number 3 and number 4 kind of work together. As you're giving praise and encouragement, you can't be sarcastic about it, right? So if you have an individual who's missed 79 free throws in a row, and then they hit the 80th, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, nice job, well done, that could be perceived by that individual as sarcastic. So that's where you kind of want to be careful with everything. Make sure verbal and nonverbal communication are in agreement. Make sure that the words that are coming out of your mouth are being backed up by your facial expressions. If not, it can come off as sarcasm, or it can come off as just being disingenuous, actually. If you're saying good job, but your body seems to think that this person's not doing a good job, then there's some dissonance for that receiver of the communication, and they don't exactly know what you mean. Exercise personal self-control at all times. This means not going off on people. This means being able to remain calm. If someone does something really well, then the type of enthusiasm that you show there should also be sort of similar to the type of, or in alignment with the type of ways that you communicate and engage with others. All right, be happy, be sad, be upset, be in a teaching mindset, but try to keep it within certain parameters. Be supportive and empathetic to folks' needs, and this could even be things like mental health. Realizing that, okay, if I have someone whose family member just died, that can have a distinct impact on how they're going to work that day, whether, again, we're talking about on the field or in the business office. Openly discuss communication needs with athletes. What do you need from me? What can I do to better support you? You're not giving up your power in that situation. Actually, what you're doing is you're inviting that person in so that they feel part and parcel to the process. They have a say in how things operate, because that's going to be beneficial to not only them, but also to you. These actions, whether you're talking about coaches, they can also be used by managers and leaders within the sport business or the sport organizational setting. And that's what we really want to focus on. Because if you're talking about something like servant leadership that really emphasizes the leader being supportive of the subordinates or the people that are in the organization or on the team, that's really what's going to drive not just the impact that you have as a leader, but also really drives the communication methods day to day. If communication is a process, right, then it's going to bring together a variety of outcomes that the leader or the coach wants. We know that. So communication is a means to an end. It provides a way for the team to achieve better, regardless of where that setting is. If you're talking about season ticket sales, or if you're talking about achieving on the playing field, court, ice, whatever, in the pool, whatever it is. The biggest thing about communication, though, is really the commitment by the leader to do it regularly in an honest way and to be open about it. And this is great to say. It's great for a PowerPoint slide. It is, however, difficult to do, because some days you have bad news, and it's tough to give bad news to people, right? But you need to do it. It's also tough that some days we're just having a bad day, and if communication is a huge part of your day-to-day job as a coach or a manager and a leader, and you're having a bad day with some of the things in your personal life, you still have to engage in that process, because it's the deviation from that that really throws up the red flags for everyone else on the team or in the organization. Communication can be an important process for strong leaders. And really what you're trying to do is they're trying to get their colleagues, you're trying to get athletes, you're trying to get other coaches. You want them to buy into the organizational culture, because the organizational culture is going to be based, hopefully, on things like mission, vision, teamwork, those very, very valuable things that are going to help the organization and the individuals move together in a productive way. And that's ultimately what I really would like to stress, and I've probably mentioned it, 9 times in these few number of slides, is that communication is a process. Processes are going to evolve on a regular basis, but you have to engage in them for them to be effective. Communication is not necessarily something that you want to put on like a speaking board or a whiteboard or a website saying, look, we have good communication. It should be something that is not a word, but it's a process. It's something that you do every single day. And if I could sort of convey one thing about communication, it would be that it's going to be ever present.